All right. I feel like maybe what I'll do is grab my. I joined this. I joined this class. This is the sample sentences. I got permission to do this on TikTok. I don't know if I can share it or not. I'll go back and ask Neil if I can share this. This is from my Neil Redcrow's. What is he doing? Thursday night Greek classes or whatever. He's got this sample sentences, and there's actually a whole bunch in here. Let's see. There's a VII, VAI, VTI, and then VTA. Imagine. I haven't been through all of them yet, but there's just so many good sentences in here. And I was going to do a TikTok video, and I just haven't done anything live for a while. I was trying to get back in the swing of doing live videos. So here we are. We're just going to start going through these. We kimuan wapa ke. It is going to rain tomorrow. We kimuan wapa ke. Yeah. Mats kimua sin. There's actually kimua sin. Mats kimua sin asai. It's already starting to drizzle. Mats kimua sin. Okay. Number 3. No te kimua no sam. E mats igosquak. No te kimua no sam e mats igosquak. He says here, it wants to rain because it's starting to get cloudy. That's that osam. Depending on the context, osam can be like maybe like too much or something, or like if you say osam stehe, like too much, I guess. But in this context, osam is more like because. All right, let's do 4. Wa se squana nuts e we mio gisagao. So it's cloudy today. It's going to be, or clear today. Wa se squan, cloudy. So yigwa squan is cloudy. Wa se squan is like clear, I guess. We mio gisagao. At tahka yawa witami. It's starting to get cool out. Depending on who you talk to, some people say, some areas you go, they say, tahka yao is like really cold. And they say gisanao is like cold, like just like getting cold, and tahka yao is really cold. And then you go somewhere else and it'll be the other way around. They'll say, okay, tahka yao is like, okay, it's a bit cold. Gisanao is like, it's super cold. Yeah. Tahkaya sin. So this one here, tahkaya sin is like the diminutive, like a little bit cold, I guess. Tahkaya sinuta ngautsinegwa. Chilly, I guess he's saying. It's chilly. Yeah. Ngautsin, I am cold. Ngautsinegwa, I'm cold now. Wa miste egisikuma. Egisik, not egisik. Egisik, which I guess is, I wonder if you can say gisin. I know gisanao is like, let's go check this out. Gisin. Oh yeah, okay. See, the one I gisanao is what I usually hear, but gisin, I guess, is like it is cold. Probably gisanao, it is quite cold. So, hello. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I forgot to lock it. Uh-oh. Okay, I'll check on the cat in a minute. I forgot to close the door, apparently. I get some spammers in the chat. That's okay. Hey, Howie. All right. Yeah, sorry about that, George. I must not have locked it when I went out.
Yeah, it pops open.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this one's a diminutive of, it's sort of like the T will turn to a C, and then that SIN on the end. Zahgaya sin. Which dialect is this, more northern, southern? This is probably more southern, but it's going to be very similar to northern Y. Yeah. Um, so if you just said which dialect to me, I'd say, well, it's plain screw Y dialect. Ni Hioewin. But northern Y and southern Y, yeah, they're a little bit different. Some of the E sounds in northern Y, say Norte, and they might sound a little bit more long I. There's a few things that are a little bit different too. You get further north, they talk fast. But it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Howie says, I'm in need of some help with some documents we're putting together. Just send me a DM there, Howie. I'll do my best. Hold on, let my brain figure out. This is in syllabics. Ma. Magomin. Magomin. Hope I'm saying that right. I'm in Southern Sask, so I'm still understanding the two. Oh, so Y, TH, and N. Oh, Manomin. Thank you. Oh, yeah, yeah. My syllabic rusty. We would say, yeah, Manomin. Yep, that makes sense. So just let me go down to the bottom here. If you go Y and TH and N dialect, TH and Y are, in my experience, have the most in common. Some of the words, the further apart the dialects get east and west, the more they start to, the words, different words start to get used. But I'll just, as a simple example. So we'll say Nia in Y dialect, and then TH they'll say ni the, and then in N, and I think they even use a different, I think they use that one, Nina. So we'll say Nia, and then TH they'll say ni the, and N Nina. So you can't just always replace the Y, but there's lots of cases where that's the case. And I want to say between, just like in my very limited experience with N dialect, when I hear N dialect speakers speak, like some here on TikTok, but even I have some friends who are learning N, and like we understand each other because you just hear that N, or you just get used to the words or whatever. But then there are cases where they'll just have different words that we don't hear out this way, I guess. But it's different from community to community, even, like, so you can't really say it is this way or it is that way, because it's just like it's a little bit different everywhere, even though it's the same language. Yeah, I'll message you here, Howie, in a bit. C says, I find it interesting that N dialect people say in I think to identify, yeah, Ininimuan, right? Well, which is Ininimuan. Ininimuan. I can't think of a direct. I wonder if you say Ininu in N dialect to be like a person, because in Y dialect you say Ianu, but I wonder if that's where it comes from. I'm not sure. I haven't studied N dialect that much. Inanu, yeah, and in Y dialect Plains Cree we say Ianu, or Isianu. Ianu is just like a person. Ianu. That's how we would say that. Ianu. And so I wonder if N, if you'd say Inanu, probably be close. Yeah. Which is cool. Like, it's, the dialects all have like way more in common than they have different. But again, some areas, in some areas, like you'll find differences in the words, like these two words here. So Bim, just go. I'm trying to type over my phone. Bimino Su. Oh, no, I'm spelling it right. It's Bimino Su. Let me look this up. I know I'm spelling that wrong. Cooks. So there's one, Bimnosu. Yeah, Bimnoasu. That's the word I learned for cook. But if you go to some areas of Saskatchewan, when you say Bimnosu, that means to cook a feast specifically. But out here, the word I learned for cooking feast is kistepo. But then out there, in the same place where they use this word for feast, they use this word for cooking. So it's almost like they're backward, like kind of backwards from each other. So it's like the language is the same, but the meaning can be a little bit different sometimes. And then that other word somebody said, aisinu, that's this one here. Aisinu. So this is the way I learned this word here. Aisinu. Oh, missing an I. So this word to me means an indigenous person. Aisinu. And then this one here, Ianu, is just like a person. Like just any person. That's what that would mean to me. What I learned. Why do I have an AI summary? That's silly. Can I shut that off? Okay. Okay, let's go back to these sample sentences. Hey, thanks for the comments. I always love the chat, the conversation. C says, sounds similar to Anishinaabemowin. Yep, I think so. Very similar. When I hear Anishinaabemowin, like there's some of it that it's like my brain almost understands, and there's some words that are like if you like in I think it's in if I say I thank you all in Y dialect, it's say kanaskum tinawao, but in Anishinaabemowin I hear kananakuminin. So like the rhythm is very similar. Anyway. Okay, let's go back to some of these here. All right, so we did tahkaya sin, which is like, this is like the diminutive of that one. Tahkayao. Tahkaya sin, so the T, that T right there, becomes that a C, makes it, you get like smaller, I guess you could think of it like that. And then it usually gets an S, like if you think, what's an example of a diminutive? Let's do it down here. So if you say like, I don't know, it might be a bad example. Musqua. For us, that's like a bear, right? But if you want to make like a little bear, you say musco sis, which is like a noun, but you can do that with verbs too. So if you say, atoskeo, that works. Atoskeo. That person works. But if you diminutize that, like if they're working a little bit, you could say, atsoske. Sorry, I forgot to put my things in. Atsoske su. They work a little bit. Atoskeo, that one works. Atsoske su, that one works like a little bit, I guess. There's like, I don't know, how would you say that? Like they're kind of just like poking at their work a little bit, or just kind of, yeah. All right, back to the top. So yeah, that's like a little bit. Well, over here it says like chilly, right? So takaya is like getting cold. Tahkaya sin is like chilly, I guess. Wah Mr. Egisikuma. It's like cold. It's really cold. Holy smokes, is it ever cold out? He says. Misiutin anuts e maigi sagag. It's very windy today. It's an ugly day, he says. This is from Neil Redcrow's class here. I don't know if he just, I don't know if Neil just like collected these for a while, and then he shared these in his class a couple weeks ago. Ikatawasik waiwit the mikmana. It looks beautiful out. when it's frosty. This is I don't know this word. Yigopiwak. Yigopiwag. That's a tongue twister. Gayigopiwag. Say katawas sin is like beautiful, or I guess it looks nice, I guess. Asiniwachi was Skaigan Utinia, Gayate. I'm from the Rocky Mountain House area. Magayo, what's up, Skok? Megwats Nuiganan. What's up, Skok? West Kelowna. Isigateo Unma Utsina. So the town we live in is called West Kelowna. But right now I'm in Edmonton. I'm in Edmonton for the week. Pea tik pamitsgene anuts miste he Ekaskoagamik. What's that word mean? Foggy. There's lots of good words here, eh? Ekaskoagamik. So this one here is interesting. This particular form of the word, if you're into the grammar, is called the infinitive, I think. Bemitsagin. It means if or when. So it's like saying, be careful if you travel, I guess. Bemitsagin. Be careful if you are driving, I guess. Bemitsagin. Be careful if you are driving. Anuts today. Yeah, this is Y dialect. Nihiwe and Y dialect. You can say you could say like beatik meets again. You could say it that way too. It should be more like be careful when you travel, I guess. But this one's being more specific. If you're going to travel today, so you see this form here. It's kind of specific in terms of like you hear that word like wapake. Wapake is like tomorrow. But it comes from the word wapan, which is like it is dawn or it is like early morning. Wapake, if you, one way you could sort of interpret that is like when the dawn comes, I guess, or if the dawn comes. I think about that in terms of like, I don't know, the things I'm told about how the language is like gentle, eh? Or like Solomon Rat talks about that, like you don't tell the future how it's going to be, like you don't say if things are going to happen for sure because you don't know, and the language is like that. So that's kind of what that means. Pamitsagene, if you're driving, beatik pamitsagene anuts miste egasquagamik. Be careful if you're driving today. It is very foggy. All right, next one. Here it is again, that same form. Why if you go outside, because if I just say to you, why are we? I'm saying go outside. If I say, why you are going outside, or you could say, like why we tamik, which is like outside. But this one is specific. Why are we if you go outside, kasapopiin, you're gonna get soaked. Osam. Sigipe stag. I guess that's downpouring. I guess it's pouring outside. Why are we gasapo pian osame sigipe stag? If you go outside, you're going to get soaked because it's pouring. Okay. Some good phrases here. Ksa steu tamana gani pi. So here's again that ga is like when, gani peak, when it's summer, I guess you could say. You're just saying like when it's summer in general, I guess. You could say it that way. Mananto. The sister bros show? Is that what that says? Yeah, I'm good, Kimaga. Ksaste utamana gani pi. It is usually hot here in the summer. That's what that mana. You hear this a lot, especially in like when people tell stories about things. It's like a word. Again, it kind of, you could think of it as like usually, but for me, it softens things a little bit. It makes it more It makes it more, what's the word I'm thinking of? I guess you just kind of like usually, yeah. It's usually hot here in the summer, yeah. Kisu pueo anuts kiamata e me guape pok. So kisu pueo, is like warm, right? Yeah, it is warming. Anuts kiamata. Kiamata is like even though. This is one of those things. You probably know that word. Kiam. You hear that, right? Kiam. Which is kind of like, oh, don't worry about it, or like, I don't know, what do you say? Like, let it go. Like, don't worry about it. Like, kiam. Like, it's not like never mind, I guess. Relax. Kind of like relax. If you said relax to somebody, that's sort of how I kiam. But then if you take, or yeah, it's okay. Exactly. Yeah. It's okay. It's like, yeah, kiam, don't worry about it. But then this one here, ata, which means like although, ata, atao, yeah, or like, yeah, ata, ata is like although. So if you look at these two kind of words on their own, kiam and then ata, you might be tempted to say like relax, although, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. This is what I call a particle phrase. I don't know if there's like a proper word for this, but you'll see these lots in the language where if you take one particle that means one thing and another particle that means another thing and you put them together and it kind of changes the meaning a little bit. I mean, in some cases it changes a lot. So kiamata is like even though, right? Even though it is winter. Kisu puewa nuts kiamate me guape pok. It is warming up here even though it is winter. Ars says, how do you say dancing flame? I'm not sure. I'm not a fluent speaker, so my best recommendation for you is just to ask a fluent speaker. I'm just a learner. Okay, tapto mana, igaskapatik. That's smoky, I know that. I just learned this word, gaskapatik. We're gonna name our cat Gaskapat. A gaskapatiu, smoky. Misuwis kamik kani pi. Let's go through that again. Tapto mana. Tapto mana, Tapto mana, like, is it like all the time? What does it say over here? Always. It is always. Tapto mana. There's two of these. Tapto mana, which is like always, and then tahtuao mana, which is like every time. And I always get them confused. Igskapa te misuwis kamik. I think this is like all over the place. I hear this word from time to time, misoiskamik. I think that's what it means. Gani peak in the summer. It is always smoky everywhere in the summer. Napilgi Sagawa Nuts. Sounds like man's day today. It is very cold today. Literally, it is a man's day today. I've never heard that before. One tip skawai witami. So this is an interesting preverb because one is usually like wanitao, like you lose something. Wanitayan, I lost it. But one tip skow, it's like, in this case, it's like pitch dark, he's saying. One tip skow, why witami, outside. Miyugig sepayao, it's a beautiful morning. Yeah, and some people say that for good morning, I guess, but you're literally saying, if you say miyugig sagao, you're saying it is a good day. Miyugig sepayao, you're saying it is a good morning, or it is a beautiful morning. Katawasin ka pewa pa. I would say the coming dawn is beautiful. What does he say here? The morning dawn looks beautiful. You see this pewapan, like dawn. Yeah, I guess dawn, eh? Pewapan. Tapoya you astin. Anuts. I don't know this word. Yeah, the weather is truly calm today. So, Standing Butterfly says the accents above the lettering is important. Yes. Um, so the marks above the letters, um, yeah, let's go through that. Chisqua, chisqua. How do we? So we'll just do a really quick. We'll make this quick if you're just brand new. So and I have another video on this, the sounds of the language. So, and I'll just preface this by saying, please keep in mind that these are Nahio letters. These are not English letters, because they make Nahio sounds. They don't make English sounds. So this is the short a, It sounds like in like the U in but, and this would be something like atso sis, which is like atso sis is like an arrow, right? But that long, that they call that a long A, the one with the mark. Sometimes if you're out in Saskatchewan, they'll use a macron. I use a circumflex. It doesn't matter because they both do the same thing. I think the macron is that one. Sorry, I'll make this a little bit bigger because I recognize that's connected 200. Yeah, there we go. So it doesn't matter if you put this character or if you put this character. They mean the same thing. We tend to use this one in more in like the Alberta area, and this one here I hear is used more in Saskatchewan, more like kind of Y and TH over there. An N dialect, I think they use this one here, which is that one. But they all do the same thing. They just elongate the vowel. So this one's going to be more like ah. The way I hear this is like the ah in father, ah. And an example would be, what's a good example? Stum, or like, need a word with a long A in it. Atim is short. Nigawi. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Nigawi. It's a long A. Nigawi. So that's what that means. Was is short. You don't. I don't hear was. I hear was. Was. But some people spell this one. I hear this one. This is the way we spell astum. I don't hear astum. I hear astum. Because two things happen when you elongate the vowel. It's not just almost think about it like Morse code, like a short vowel you say It's not just the change in the sound, but the long vowels you also say them longer. Yes, exactly like a double vowel. Nishnabemo and Michif too, they use that double vowel. That's exactly the same thing. Yeah, you say ah. So and then there's other ones like I, like ape. Sorry, I'm waving my phone all over. I'm trying to type in. I'll try and hold the phone a little steadier. And then E, which is like ni-pin. Ni-pin. Yeah. And then there's O. That short O is like like shook, or book, and that's going to be Osam. I think that's a short O, right? Osam. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Oh, so whenever you see an O, especially in like a 3D6, like around Edmonton or whatever, if you just make that sound like book, you'll be like 90% there. It can sound a little bit different depending on the word, like the end of the word, like nigamo. I hear people say nigamo, but I hear also nigamo, like shook. And then the long O, ooh. This one's easy because it's like moose, mooswa. So in English, that word is borrowed from the language, moose, mooswa. Ooh, ooh. And then there's only one more vowel, and that's the long E. And this sounds like the A in hay. So if you say like Tisqua, Tisqua. Here's another good example. Somebody was saying Northern Y dialect, and even in Saskatchewan. So Northern Y, it's going to sound a little bit more like Tisqua, Tisqua. That's, even though they might write it the same way, it'll, that long E in Northern Y dialect will sound a little bit more like a long I, Tisqua, Tisqua. Down south, I hear Tisqua or Chisqua if you're out by Musqueam. Or Tisqua. My kids are on to me because it's I'm not at home. I'm in Edmonton this week, so I hope that was just a real short. I wanted to take 2 minutes and hey, let me just message my son. Tisqua, Tisqua, Tisqua. Here, look over here. Let me flip my camera around so you can watch me run my. Yeah. Where's everybody watching from tonight? I haven't been live for a couple weeks. I've been Dante Otsikiwao. Is there a word for butterfly? I'm pretty sure there is. We can look it up in a second. I always forget it because I never use that word. I'm just messaging my son. Thompson, Manitoba. Let's go look up that word, butterfly. Flip camera. Whoop. There we go. Okay, butterfly. It's not memigwe. It's similar to the word for little people, but I always forget. Butterfly. Come on, butterfly. Gamamagos. Gamamagos. Oh, mimagwas. That's the one I'm thinking of. Mimagwas. That's the word I learned, but I always forget it. Mimagwas. But I think it would probably, again, probably there were lots of words for butterflies, but these are just the ones we have, I guess. Mimagwas. Yeah. Minstagwan Lake. Minstagwan Miasen. I just checking my comments to see if I. D asks, will this be online? I do download my videos and I put them on my YouTube, though I'm a little bit behind. So if you go to my link tree and click on subscribe on the YouTube, I'll get the videos up there. Musky Kinapeo says, what website do you study from? I use lots of sites. But if you go to so if you can go to my site, there's a bunch of stuff there. So my site is kiano.net. Just go pull it up here. Kiano. That one right there. Kiano.net. And if you go here and you go to this, click on Learner Library. As I find resources online, I put them here. So then if you go in here, let me make that bigger because that's so tiny. If you come in here and you want to just like, I don't have every video on YouTube here, but if you just click watch, then I have a bunch of stuff. Like they have stuff on APTN. As I find stuff, I put it here. And then if you want to listen, as I find audio, I put it in here. And then stuff you can read. And then other resources. As I find stuff, I just put it here. And I'm going to start doing more indexing of YouTube and stuff. Grabbing videos and things. But I would say start here. And if you're just starting out, I would say this one here. If you go there and you search for language of the where is it? This one here. Jinogimasis Cree language of the plains. It's you don't have to get that one. This one's a paid copy, but you can get the free PDFs online. So I have a link to those on here. So this is Cree language of the plains, the reference. And then this is Cree language of the plains, the workbook, the PDF you can download online. And then there's also audio lessons to go with all of the workbooks. So I would use those because if you're just starting out, you can, Jinoke Masas did audio for all of those. And that's a free resource online. It's a good place to start. Okay, let's go back to our phrases. I'll just double check quick. Miss any questions? Manumin is from Regina. What do they call that? Gasastegi. Oskana. Oskana gasastegi, where the bones are piled. YouTube channel, if you go to my Mason, if you go to my bio, link in bio, you can find my link to my YouTube in there, in my link tree. If I missed your comment, there's so many comments here. If I missed your comment, would you just post it again? Just because I think I missed one or two in there. Pile of bones. Yeah, that one is, it's probably even in the dictionary. Let's just look up Regina. It's probably in there. It'll prove me wrong. Why wouldn't it be just right there? It makes no sense. I'll type it out for you. Asasteo, I think, is how you say. Asasteo. Something's piled. Asasteo. Well, I guess it has to be plural there. But if you put this in the conjunct, then you have to say asastegi. So oskana ga asastegi, the bones, where the bones are piled. Yeah. I think I got all my. Maiden says, is this Cree? Tapwe. Nihui when Plains Cree dialect. Okay, let's get back to some of our phrases here. Back up to the top. I think we did. Why we in there? Sa still, I think we did that one. Gi supwil. Tap tomana, we did that one. Mugig se payao. Tapwe. Ayuastin. It's another word I didn't know. Ayuastin. It is calm. Tapwe ayuastin anuts. The weather is truly calm today, he says. Saga steo ikanawapata man. So I am watching the sunrise. Saga steo ikanawapata man. Moistes ganawapatin paksamun. So moistes nga. I would pronounce that slower. But I think it gets flagged as because it sounds similar to like a bad racial slur. But the way I hear this, sounds like nga. You just have a little bit of an N before that. I will ganawapatin ganawapatin paksimun. You could say pakisimun, and you would be correct. That like you would still be correct in saying it that way. But the way I'll probably hear this, because if you look at the stress on this, if you go back 1, 2, 3, the stress would probably be on this, the ge right here. But because that's what I call a weak vowel, I'll probably hear the stress here. So again, you could say pakisimun, but I'll probably hear that paksimun. Muestes ngnawapatin paksimun. Later I will be watching the sunset. Because I'm against a white screen, I can't see the comments. This is a plain screen Nihiwi Y dialect. Oh yeah, pile of bones. Sorry, let me write that out for you. Okay, that's the one giskisin. Oskana. Oskan is a bone. So oskana is a bunch of bones. Ga, which can be like when or where or which, depending on the context. Was it a long A? No, I think it was assas. So the plural of this in the regular is asastewa. Asastewa. They're piled there, but in the conjunct you would say gasas asastig. Oskanaga asastig, where the bones are piled. Ga can be when too, but in this context it would be where, because it's a place name. Oskanaga asastig. How do I shut off the AI thing? That's really annoying. I have to go find that. Okay, back to our phrases here. Okay, we did. I'm gonna wapatin paksimun. Wapskaoma pagoyan. This shirt is white. Aha, minumin. Tapwe. Kaskite wawan ma ti tapun. That chair is black. Anma. Oma's like this. Oma is one of those things that's tricky too because oma sometimes can be just used for emphasis. But in this context, it literally means this. And anma means that. Anmastotenemiguag. That hat is red. Kisik, gisik, ACP guag. The sky is blue, I guess. Askitagwao niskotagay. It's important that you use a long vowel here. Niskotagay. The jacket, it's my jacket. Niskotagay. My jacket is green. Osawawa. Because maskisana, my shoes. If it was just nimaskisin, then you would say usawaw. But you have to have what they call number agreement. So because the nimaskisana is plural, then this is plural also. Usawawa nimaskisana. Yeah. This is a word that took me a long time to be able to say. Wapigwaniunagwan, which is the word for pink. And when I look at this word, the way I interpret this word is in my brain like wapigwani is flower, so it is and then when something is nagwan, that's like how it looks. But so it's flower looking is the way my brain thinks that, but we use that word for pink. Wapigwaniunagwan. Wapigwaniunagwan. Anma. You could say here to this one, anima, and you would be correct if you said anima. But the way I hear that word, anma. Wapigwaniunagwan anma. Wapigwani. Umago. This word I have such a hard time with. Enipamayata. This blanket is purple. Enipamayata. Pihkunagwan mutsita. The floor is gray. Or like, I guess, pihko, you could think of like the floor is ash colored. It's kind of how my brain interprets that, but yeah. Kiapits. Atoske maganuma. Tsagasti paitsagan. This is an interesting word, because we have that magan on the end. And it kind of like, when you have something that's, I'll say like inanimate, like it's an uma. Like in this case we're talking about Tsigaste paitsagan is like a TV. Tsigaste paitsagan. Atoske magan. The magan relates to that in the sense that it makes this atoske is a verb you would normally use with a person, like an animate something, and the magan makes it so that you can use it with an inanimate thing. Atoske magan. How did Ruben put that one time? Elgo CP. Kisaskatchewan CP. Eototemaga asniwatsi. Eototemagak. It comes from there, but he put that magan or that magak on the end, and that makes it so that it's like in agreement with animacy, I'll say. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I hope that makes sense. You'll just hear that though. You'll hear that magan or maga. And that just means that whatever they're talking about is inanimate. Here it is again. Kiapits matsi magan niswiptsagan. So he's talking about his phone here. Kiamata, there's that again. Kiamata, even though egiapitsitayan kapigi sik. So he's saying here, my phone is still alive. Bimatsimagan. I guess you could say bimatesimagan. But when you get that TIS, especially around like a long vowel that's on the stress, this is going to just kind of smoosh together. Matsimagan. Niswiptsagan. Same with this one here. You could say nisewe pitsagan. The stress is technically on this B, but because there's a strong vowel or a long vowel beside it, and there's a bunch of like weak, well, I call them weak vowels, but it's an I specifically in that stress position, it kind of disappears in the area I'm in. So I don't hear nisewe pitsagan, though you will hear this word in some areas like that, especially in, I think in Saskatchewan. But out here, a Western Treaty 6 area, I'll hear nisewiptsagan. That I in there just kind of disappears. Kiamata egyaptsitayan kapigi sik, even though I used it all day. So the question is, Ethan says, which language is this? It doesn't sound like Anishinaabe. This is Plains Cree dialect. Nihiwi-win. How many different dialects does Cree have? There's actually more than that even, because there's Y, TH, and N are sort of like the Western dialects. Then there's Eastern dialect. There's actually an Eastern Y in Northern Quebec. It's like quite different. Then there's an R dialect and an L dialect. And then there's, how do you say that word? Atimago? I don't know if I'm saying that right. And I don't even know what dialect that is. So so these examples here, and the further east you go, like the more distance there is east to west between dialects, the more difference there is in the words. But even this, like nia, nida, nina, and then if you go out east even further, L dialect, they say nila. And then in our dialect, they say nira. I don't know if I'm spelling, I don't know what they use for accents, but and then in between these, there's what you could say are like subdialects. There's a word for it. I think it's sociolects. Like even different communities can have like, even though the words will be largely the same, but they might be sound a little bit different just because the language is a little bit different. But if you think about it, it's almost like English, right? Like even if you think about like the difference between Alberta and Ontario in English, or like Newfoundland, how English has a lot of that Irish. Or if you go to Scotland, I talked with a person on the phone from Scotland once, and they were speaking English, but I didn't understand a single word they said. So like language can vary a lot. And it's no different with indigenous languages. My wife's language too, which is Okanagan Salish, all over up and down. So it goes all the way up into the, up towards Revelstoke, and then all the way down into like by Spokane, Washington, Coeur d'Alene in there. And even though it's the same language, and it's the same language, Okanagan Salish, but they have like, it's all different dialects all up and down in there. So the way they'll say words is a little bit different, So, yeah. Manny the Planet says, how do you say is hippopotamus? You can go find that on Facebook. I don't actually even know. I've heard it lots. Yeah, Neil says, same with Coast Salish. Coast Salish, yeah, like, and the interesting thing is, I forget which language. I was doing a Wordle for, I forget the language. It was a dialect of Coastal Salish up in the, I can't even remember what it was. And the interesting thing is I didn't recognize the name of the language. I'd never heard of it before. But once I started studying the sounds, it was very similar to my wife's language. But the orthography was a little bit different because they had differentiations between um, the if you heard the language, it sounded very similar, and even the orthography was very similar. But then again, like technically a different language. No, I don't remember. I'd have to go. I have to go back and have a look. I don't remember what it was. It was a couple of years ago, and my brain only has so much capacity for memory these days, unfortunately. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, we did that one. Wah wah gage swan sisaguts ni pomaga. I don't mean to pick on Neil, but I got to fix these little typos every once in a while. Ni pomaga nisawipsagan. Sisaguts is just like I think that's just now. He says just died now. Sisaguts. Let's look that up because I don't actually. There's two words in there I don't know. I looked this up the other day and I thought I knew what it meant. All of a sudden. That's right. So this is like all of a sudden. Gage swan, I guess, is by chance. Gage swan. Seems like an expression. Gage swan. Gage swan sisaguts. Yeah. Unintentionally by coincidence. Yeah, interesting. Nia means me. Nia. Ms. R. Foley. I am. Yes, I know syllabics. We did some a couple weeks ago. We did syllabics on the live. I think I have that document. I never. Oh no, it's on my iPad. That's right too. Yeah, we did some syllabics. Yeah, you can find. There's a bunch of videos. I'm pretty sure there's even videos on TikTok of hippopotamus. The video on syllabics. Did I put it on my YouTube? If I could still download it, I think they only let me download them for 30 days. I've been. I was sick for a while, so I kind of dropped off TikTok for a bit there. But we'll do more syllabics down the road. Yeah. There's some. I learned syllabics from Ruben Quinn. You can go find his stuff on YouTube. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I was undiagnosed for a while, and I just finished treatment a couple weeks ago, and I'm in a good place. Feeling good. Cree from Fort Severn. Do you know any resources for Swampy? A little bit. Swampy. So, not as much. No. I mean, if you connect with some folks, there are some. Let's see. Did I bring that? Tisqua. Let's go wander and find this book. Tisqua. I got the lights off, so let me flip my camera. Go wander through the house. Tisqua. Get some lights on here. There we go. I dropped off this book for Shanice. Gagitamit, the lazy one. Which one is this? Why we thought Munsa? Yeah, this one here. So this book, is that backwards? Probably. Why we thought Munsa. I'll turn my camera around so you can read it. There's some end dialect stories in here. And then there's some, I think there's Woods Cree. I don't know if they have like a Swampy Cree stories. I don't know what they have at U of R Press. Let's go check it out though. I'm gonna sit back. Tisqua. Flip camera. Okay. So if you go to U of R Press, and as I find more stuff, I'll put it on my site, but I haven't studied anything in end dialect as much, but as I come across things. Oh yeah, sorry, it was backwards. This is the book here. Can you see that? Wawi Tatsamonsa. Well, I'll pull it up right here. So if we go to U of R Press here, and then we'll go books, and we'll go browse all books. I don't know. Let's just search for Cree and see what comes up. So it's by the same author as the dictionary, Eric Wolvengray. This dictionary, anyway. So there's some Woods Cree stories, which is the same series. They're called the First Nation Language Reader. And then it's going to be not on this page, obviously. If I search for funny, so there's a bunch of resources here. Most of them are, because this is U of R, this is Regina, so most of the stuff, let's do it this way, funny. Oh, there's two N's in funny, not two U's. Funny. Come on. There we go, this one. Funny little stories. And there are at least a couple of N dialect stories in here. Wawi tatsamunsa. So, funny little stories. Atsimuan. Atsimuan is a story, so Atsimuan. Atsamunsa is like short stories or little stories. And the Wawiyat, this is going to be the funny part. Wawiyat Atsamunsa. Funny little stories. You can get this, so you can get this here. I think it's about, yeah, $20.
Did somebody let the cat in?
Did she just come in with you?
She was at the stairs when I just got back. They're on the front.
Oh, she's at the front stairs? Okay. Okay.
She's still outside then?
Maybe. Sorry, everybody. We're going on a mission to let the cat in. Then we'll get back to Cree. I almost forgot. Cat was out. The cat can't be out when it's dark, because otherwise it gets into scrap with neighbor cats or something. Let's go check out front. Kitty, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Nope. No cat. All right. Check again in a few minutes. Okay. Any other questions so far? Get back to my comments. N dialect. So yeah, that was the question, was about N dialect material. I only know of so much, like I come across N dialect stories from time to time. But I don't have any specific resources, I'm afraid. Okay, let's get back to our list here. Lander says, I'm trying to learn my language for ministry. Be a UPCI minister soon. Interesting. Okay. All right, let's do a few more of these before we wrap up tonight. All right, where we leave? Mama Scott's nawapatin metawagan. Kapig squemagak. There's that word again. Amazing. I saw a toy that speaks. Mama Scott's nawapatin metawagan. Kapig squemagak. Again, big squirrel is like that one speaks, but because we're talking about something that's inanimate, then we put that magan, or in the conjunct, big sque maga. We're giving an action to something that's normally not animate. Mama tawa petitsigana. Here's another one. Oh, it looks like a tongue twister. Ian si magagi, saying they're like smart, I guess. Ian su is like smart. That one is smart. Ian si magagi anuts. So he's saying the computers nowadays are very smart, I guess. I'm missing an H in there again. Nehiwewen egisiwat simaga. The Cree languages is kind. I just learned this from Neil the other day. Dansagane. Gane is like, he was saying, like, if you just forgot something, or you're like, oh, I just forgot your name, or something like that, then you'll use that gane. Which I don't know if I've ever heard that before. Dansagane o go etwemaga. What does that sign? What does that say? Danseo go etwemaga, or dansagane o go twemaga. What does that say? Ke tatoe we kiwe magan ke pig squeo no. One day our language will come home, he says. Yeah, we'll do one more before we wrap up here. Sunia wasanai gun we pay to tago te magana nuts. The check will arrive today. Sunia wasanai guns like the money paper, I guess. We pay tago te magana nuts. That's funny. All right, flip my camera around. I wanted to. Miasin anma. Lander. Yeah, miasin. Mutipskan. Say have a good night. Hey, better cook 'em. I was trying to go live on Sundays. I dropped off TikTok for a bit there because I was having a rough go, but I'm good. I'm good now. Heather says you should read children's storybooks on YouTube. Yep, I think that'd be good. I do read stories. By TikTok, I read a lot of stories. Pitogo-san says, Kane is after all or on second thought. That's awesome. I just learned that a couple weeks ago. Kane, after all or on second thought. Miyasin, hi. Children's storybooks. The thing about that is there's only so many. There's only so many storybooks. When there's snow on the ground, I usually read the Castaceano stories that I have. Mind you, it's warm now, so we'll stop that for a bit. There's not a lot of children's stories. Is kind of there's some. I have some from. This is another good resource. I'll share with you all. If you go to SICC store. Let me turn my camera around. Come on, Aaron. There we go. This one here. SICC online retail store is another good one. And then if you go to, there's a bunch of resources here. There might even be some N dialect here. Yeah, there you go. There's some Swampy Curie right there. So through these, I think these are mostly all the same. But if you go here, like some of these, there's some stories here. Some of these are like this one, Niposke Niposkoao. It's like Niposke, Nipogoya, Niposkoao, Nitasagan, like it's just one page per phrase. But if you go to something like Pakwis Kanapesis or like Nistomasquak, something like that, they're more of like a bit more of a storybook. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, like some of these ones here, like Kigwai Tax Kaman, Tasi Kaman, or Witamoin. These ones are more like repetitive, so they're pretty good. They're pretty good books. Inside, Outside, and Upside Down. That one's okay. When I say okay, I mean by like how much I read these to my daughter and how much she laughs when I read them. This is a Usao Nagosit Masqua, but this one here, this is like sort of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, I guess, but it's like a story. And then there's a few other ones, like this is more like a children's story, but then there's some other ones. Bahquis Canapesis, like the little Bannock boy. Anyway, so that's at SICC, the Saskatchewan Indigenous Cultural Center's website, sicc.ca. They have a bunch of stuff, and their books are not a lot of money. Like this one's like, it's like $7, right? You can spend $50 and get a ton of books. So, oh, I hear a cat scratching at the door. We gotta go get it. Because last time the cat stayed out all night, she ended up at the vet. Got in a fight. Okay, we gotta go rescue the cat. Come on, kitty, kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. No, darn it. Thought I heard the cat. Okay. Okay. Name of the place. Which place do you mean? Just gonna go check the front door while we're checking comments. Hey, Mason. Miyasin Tagosinian. It's good you come. I'll be back on. I'm gonna start doing Sundays again. Sorry, it's dark in here. Wander through there. I'm gonna start doing Sundays again, and Oh no, I lost the cat. I'm gonna be in trouble. Kitty, 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 come inside, you silly cat. Get in here. Come on. Psst, 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 psst. Come on. Get inside. There, now I'm not in trouble anymore. Didn't lock the door. The door was open. Cat ran off. There, we can rest easy now. My brother won't have my hide. All right. Okay, back to your questions. All right. We use Goodreads for Indigenous books. I'll have to check that out. What do they have on there for books? I haven't even looked at. Oh, I gotta do my 90-minute puzzle here. Select 2 objects that are the same shape. Are you kidding me? Wild. Okay. The name of the place. Oh, U of R Press, University of Regina Press. U of R Press online. If you just search for University of Regina Press, you'll find it. And they have they're not the only ones that have, but they're consistently publishing like you can buy some of the Frida Hennique books there. Solomon Rat. Let's go over to that website again. It's right here. There's lots and lots of books, and you can, like find them on Amazon or whatever. But I usually order them directly from U of R Press because they just have. I just like to buy directly from them. But if you look like, I'll just search for Cree again. So the dictionary, you can get a hard copy of that Cree Language of the Plains. 100 Days of Cree by Neil MacLeod, which is a pretty good book. There's the Cree Language of the Plains workbook. Matsinahiwiwin, if you're on my TikTok much at all, we're on page 28. At one point I was like, I'm going to do one a day, but that is so hard. Well, and I was sick for a while too, so I've been off TikTok, but there's no audio with this one. One of the reasons that this book, The Cree Language of the Plains, is so good is there's audio online for this workbook. So as you work through this workbook, Jean Okima assisted the audio for this, right? So you can go and she reads basically through the whole thing, which is good if you're not, like if you're just starting out and it's good to have that resource. You can read and listen at the same time. So I've been working through these because there's no audio for these, and I have a couple of friends that are started on this book but don't have because it doesn't have the audio. I've been working through it on TikTok. It's going to take me 4 years to get through the rest of it, but we'll just keep working at it. This is a good book. Speaking Cree in the Home. I've never seen this one. I have this one too. This is the second book from Solomon Rat. It's like a little bit more, I don't know, maybe intermediate, I guess. Gaias Nutin. This was one of the more recent ones released. Mary Louise Rock Thunder, and I forget the details of this. I think this was recorded in I can't even remember, early 2000s? I can't remember. Anyway, and I think if I recall correctly, this book is about, she was like a first language speaker, and yeah, I can't remember all the details. Good book though, I read some of it. This is a collection of Solomon Rat stories. This one is in TH dialect. Still awesome. You can still read it. Gapes Kiskisian. So you can see there's one of those differences, eh? Like in Y dialect, this would be a long E, and I would say gape. But in TH, they say gapi, gapis kiskisian, the way I remember, he says. And I think this is a collection of, like, lots of this stuff was collected and published over the years. I think a lot of these are from the Cree Literacy Network, or just like different stuff that Solomon's done over the years, kind of all wrapped up into one book. And there's a lot of different stuff in that book. It's really good. And then I think you can get, I wonder if there's any of the Frida Hennique stuff on here. I don't even know. Frida. Yeah, so this is a really good book. Kukumnuak Otatsmo Nuawa, Our Grandmother's Stories. This is a good book. And then, oh, this is the same one. Yeah, anyway, there's more out there than that, but these are a little bit, if you want a challenge, like if you feel like want to level up your Nihuiwin, then this is a good book because there's a bunch of stories in there that'll give you a chance to like dive a little bit deeper into like some more advanced stuff. But it's not like over the top like Jimgani Petitio where he's using like huge words and stuff because some of that stuff's intense. Yeah, Kevin Brousseau translated English kids' books to Cree and also made a few dictionaries. That's cool. I didn't know that Kevin had books. I'll have to go check that out. Thank you. Let's see what other comments I missed here. Yeah, perfect. Looks like I got most of them. Yep, awesome. All right, well, I accomplished my evening. It went live, and there we go. Killed some phone battery. Kevin Brousseau, yeah, he did. Didn't Kevin Brousseau do? Was it Kevin that had a pocket book? Did he do like a pocket dictionary or something like that? And then I thought there was another. Yeah, the pocket. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that at home. That pocket dictionary. But I've never. Moy Gweska Nugskat, a Nugskat. I haven't met him properly. Also wrote a book for Cree kids' names. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to go find those. There's resources kind of float. That's the thing about it when you get into the language journey, hey? Like, there's resources out there, but they're kind of floating around different places, and then another thing, and like, not as a criticism, but just like as a challenge or a barrier for learners sometimes is like there'll be sometimes, especially fluent speakers that have been working in the language for a long time, they can have their own writing system sometimes, which can make things challenging. Because then you got to kind of learn this person's writing system. It can be tricky. Lander says, "Wait, I'm back. I have the very rare Plains Cree Bible from the '60s. Wasn't it? Yeah, I think there's a couple. Is it the one? It's not the syllabics one though, is it? Because that one's really old. It's like red pages. I think is it like super thin? Is it like a super thin? Like it's just a few of the whatever they call them, the books or whatever. I've never really looked into the Bibles or anything. In the very beginning, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It was super thin. Yep. Yeah, I think I've seen that online. I don't know if it's a great. I mean, if you wanted to study that, I think it's fine. Like all resources are good, I guess. One of the things, I mean, like aside from like having a religious context, is that it's not necessarily everyday language. So I don't know if there's, for me as a learner, I wouldn't find a lot of value in studying that. Maybe if I'm trying to figure out some words or something, but I'm much more interested in like day-to-day use of the language. Like how do people speak and converse today? Like I'm not just interested in learning language from a symbolic sense. I want to learn language that we use every day. I want to be able to tell my stories in the language. I want to be able to converse with my family, my kids in the language. I want to be able to understand elders and speak to, like relatives in the language, right? And so, I mean, it's probably interesting words. Um, Viability for me as a learner right now. I think it's cool though. I'm a book collector too. I have like all the books, except those ones, obviously. I ran into somebody who had an old Cree Bible, one of the old ones. And I think they sent it out east. They donated it to somebody out there. My kid's messaging me. Any other? I just want to get some of those phrases. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. We're just kind of hanging out. I'm in Edmonton for a few days. I'm going to a conference this week at Métis Crossing. Cam says, I always listen to your lives and fall asleep. Fall asleep to my live. That's awesome. My wife always says, you should do audiobooks. Like, man, I don't have time to do audiobooks. I'd love to do, one of the things I've been thinking about, I think it'd be super cool to do like a podcast, but man, they're a lot of work. I tried to do a podcast a while ago, and then like, what do you talk about week to week? Like, I remember Chelsea Val started a podcast, and she had a couple really cool episodes in her podcast, and then Wayne Jackson did a podcast for a while. I just think it's such a commitment. Like, but a podcast would be cool, right? But like, if you were to do a podcast, would you want it to be in the language? Or would you, that's one of those things, like, I feel like if you wanted to do a podcast, you'd have to, you'd inevitably end up talking about the language a lot more, and I'd kind of want it to be, like, in the language, wouldn't it? And I don't think I'm ready for that. My language isn't quite that good yet. Getting there, but. Lots of good medicine from Larange. Mia sin. Mia sin tagosinian. Kia. Cam. Yep. Well, Sami nakakio kitum skat now. Akan naskum tinawa. Thank you everybody. Kio aga kapegio goik. All y'all that come to visit with me tonight. Now that I'm feeling better, I am going to be. We got so much stuff going on. I just put a video on my TikTok today. We've got some language project stuff going on. I've got a couple of apps that I've been working on for like 5 years. One is focused around transcribing. Transcribing is really great if you're looking to level up your language. If you're feeling stuck in your language journey and you want to level up, one of the things you can do, one of the best things you can do, in my opinion, aside from hanging out with fluent speakers, is like listen to the language a lot. But if you go one step above that, transcribe what you're listening to, which can be really, like, it's really challenging. But if you get into it and you start transcribing is just like writing down what you hear and then figure out those words and figure out what they mean. And it's a lot of work. But if you do that, then if you just transcribe like a couple of minutes of a story or something, you really, really know that story really well. So one of the apps that we're working on is focused around transcribing and then collecting a lot of that so you can go in and watch those transcriptions. And then the other one is around, it's going to be a mobile app where you can ask questions. So people come in here and they're like, oh, how do you say this or how do you say that? We're building an app right now where you can do that. You can just like ask a question, and then the mentors in your language community can respond to that question with audio, and we can build up like a collection, like a database. I call it a language bundle. So that if people come back in and like somebody asks tonight, how do you say hippopotamus? Right? It'll just be in there. So when you go and you open it up and you're like, oh, okay, Plains Cree hippopotamus, it'll be there. There'll be audio. There'll be audio in multiple dialects, right? So if somebody comes in and they're like, oh, somebody has an example of hippopotamus in Y dialect and TH dialect, but there's no example of hippopotamus in N dialect. They can put it in there. So then as a learner, if I'm just learning N, then I'll just see the stuff that's from my own dialect. We're just starting. Our team is officially starting on that project tomorrow. So I had a prototype that I built about 4 years ago, but we just signed a contract with the funders to get started on it. We're starting development tomorrow morning. My team is starting on this, so we're super excited. So we're going to talk lots more about that in the next little bit. So that was kind of my motivation for being online tonight, was just to get TikTok going again, get back into the swing. Anyway, nice. Hey, yeah, no problem. Made my beating go by fast. Mas estás? You have to show us your beating. Make sure you put it on TikTok. Okay, I'm going to sign off. Thanks again for stopping by, and we'll see you next weekend. Okay, eggs.